Hi, I'm Tom Landon. The program you're about to watch was recorded live at the historic Grandin Theater in Roanoke. Since we started the Echo channel, we've made every effort to record as many Hoot and Holler storytelling shows as we can. If you appreciate seeing programs like this one and the fact that we make them available online and on demand to a global audience, I hope you'll consider supporting Blue Ridge PBS by becoming a member. These programs aren't cheap to produce, and we're actively seeking underwriting to support the recording, editing, and distribution of Hoot and Holler so that we can continue to make these heartfelt and personal tales available to those who are unable to attend them live. If you'd like to learn more about sponsorship, please drop me a line by email at tlandon@blueridgepbs.org. And enjoy the show.
Blue Ridge PBS and Echo present Hoot and Holler, a live storytelling event recorded at the historic Grandin Theater in Roanoke, Virginia.
Our next storyteller, first timer, AKA Rock Rose, the original BBW model and adult entertainer, TV talk shows, radio, columnist, and now author. Her newly released Sex, Drugs, and Rock Rose is available now and actually out in the lobby after this, where Miss Thing is going to be out there signing. Fabulous book and so juicy. I'm so thrilled to meet her. She's like a soul sister. Please welcome, put it together, first timer, Jennifer Gabriel.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Comebacks come in many forms: health, wealth, relationships, lessons learned, and we most often hear it used in reference to public fame. My greatest comeback of all was to myself, my true self. Writing my autobiography, was a big part of me coming back to Jennifer. As a young maiden, I was wild and free in my expression. That was frowned upon. I grew up in the Hudson Valley. There I am. That's when I was all wild and stuff. Not that I ain't anymore, right? I grew up in the Hudson Valley, about 60 miles north of Manhattan. I was surrounded with beautiful apple orchards, expansive gardens, and magical abundance of nature. My mother, my very religious mother, was very savvy in her abilities to navigate the busy streets of New York City, and my father worked on the railroad, which gave me a free train pass into the city. Within an hour and a half, I was immersed into the vast and diverse cultures of New York City. It was a place where the hippie, witchy, and the headbangers were accepted among the suits and the jackets. No matter what I felt like embodying, it was acceptable there. No wonder I liked it. At home, my mother was busy ripping apart my revealing lace tops and destroying my witchcraft books. But my head was filled with adventure and thrills of the big city. By the time I was 13, I found myself spending more time in the city than school. The East Village became our playground. Seediness, punk, sexual posers as advertisements, and hustle bustle and the buzzing of the concrete. Most of all was the witchcraft store, which I was obsessed with. In my heart, I knew I was a witch. Most of all, there was a witchcraft store called Enchantments. This Wiccan belief is a nature-based belief system that was very taboo to my elders. The suppression of my beliefs drove me to start running away. I ran away at 14. I indulged in a lot of adult pleasures and drugs. I felt dark necessities were a part of my life. At age 16, the powers at my school told me I was being kicked out. Said my runaway antics were a bad example to other students. kicked out of school for being a bad influence. Age 17, I left home, and I was living in Brooklyn and New York City. I was running through drugs, music, alternative lifestyles, anything but the mundane. Woo, where were we? I felt euphoric, escaping through sexual seedy antics. Being a large bisexual Amazon witch in 1987 wasn't everybody's forte. It's still not today. However, I was attracted to makeup, rock and roll, witchcraft, the punk scene, nudity, androgyny, love guys with eyeliner, and very much, and small women. I soon found myself starring in my first adult film, meeting and working with major porn stars. I don't know if they're there yet. Are they there? Working with stars such as Ron Jeremy, Linda Lovelace, Annie Sprinkle. They were a little bit older than me at the time. This young maiden found out this lifestyle came with drugs and money. I liked it, and attention. Oh my God, I craved attention. I loved it, loved it, loved it. But when the highs came crashing down, I realized I was addicted. I was addicted to cocaine. I was addicted to sex. I was addicted to this lifestyle. I hit a wall. Everything in me was screaming. I was physically, emotionally, and psychologically sicker and exhausted than I've ever been in my life. I went back home to the countryside and my family. This is where I found out I was pregnant. What? Pregnant? Oh no. I found it wasn't I found comfort in the countryside while finding myself becoming a mother. I was able to focus on his needs and a new life as a mom, but it wasn't long before I missed the attention. So I got back into the adult industry. I found myself navigating between two different worlds. Dancing topless in clubs paid well and gave me riches in other ways. I felt the thrill of life again and the excitement of showing off my big natural breasts. Dancing I loved very much. Meanwhile, the industry had no big women and a long list of men who were very interested in that niche. BBW, big, beautiful women, they sure seemed to like me. I enjoyed being different. I loved feeling the power through my stature. I still do. I found power in my size. I found that sometimes people put themselves in a box, and they don't realize that men and women are turned on by all shapes and sizes. I am nervous. Even at my heaviest, I never felt ugly or embarrassed by my size. It had landed me plenty of work. By this time, I had another child. As they were growing up, I had been sending in Polaroids of my breasts to different magazines. I was asked to pose for Jugs magazine. And of course, I did. Jugs was the pinnacle of breast magazines. And at the time, it was very super exciting for me, and it was a huge platform. Thank you. It worked out so well that I had my own column working for Jugs, writing for a couple years about exhibitionism. This was a period of resurgence. Being a columnist gave me the time to explore nature and music with my children. I remember us all singing as they were growing up in front of me. They were both accepted into the Hudson Valley Conservatory, an art center. It was a performing arts center owned by Samuel E. Wright in Walden, New York, where I actually performed dinner theater myself. It was a period of resurgence. I was coming back to myself in my career, and it bloomed in a new way. I had now done 58 magazine covers. I had layouts in different big girl and big breast magazines. The freedom and the acceptance was beyond measure. I traveled all over the world with fetish wrestling, dominating men. Yes, I wrestled men and women. I also did TV appearances, such as Geraldo, where I wrapped my breast around his head, and Howard Stern's show, acting and performing in dinner theater as well, and radio. As a swinger bisexual mother, I found myself in both worlds, a career and a family, but I never hid who I was from my kids. I never hid behind any religion. I never used excuses for who I was. I was just being who I am. Being immortalized as a DC comic book character was one of my highest moments in my entire career. Thank you. Portrayed as a strong, tall, powerful woman by Ted McKeever in Industrial Gothic magazine. Yeah, DC Comics. I was in the adult business for over 2 decades. And while it was wild and fun of experiences, nothing stays the same forever. I met my now and current third husband. The experiences I gained with him gave me more insight to the universe than I ever acquired in the adult industry or any previous relationships. Retirement from the adult industry, I found myself traveling the country in a new way. By CDL, I drove big rigs with these big jugs. Trucker. Juggernaut. Juggernaut means it drives big things. Yeah! Woo! Traveling to 50 states gave me the freedom and the space to heal. Freedom to love myself and respect the choices I made. By this time, my children were adults living their own lives. As the crone, this 55-year-old, I stand here before you. I needed companionship. I didn't need just to retire again from another career and an industry, but to retreat. I needed to come back to myself in the comfort of the country. I needed my husband. I needed my animals, my gardens, and my woods. Living in the mountains of Virginia, I was able to focus not only on my physical health with a full knee replacement, but my mental health as well. I fixed a lot of bad habits, and I was able to work on my emotional healing, and that has been well put off. Retraining my brain consumed me. It was baby steps, one day at a time. Never once did I question how I was going to get there. I believed I could retrain this monkey brain. I believed in good relationships with others. Most importantly, I believed in myself. I forgave myself for the choices I made as a maiden and a mother. No one ever is perfect, but you can always take actions to become your highest self. After many years of journaling, I reached a part of my healing that I began to look in the shadows of my former self. Rock Rose still lived and breathed on the big screens. Woo! Hulu is screening my face on the dark side of the 90s. Jerry Springer ads were showing clips of me doing splits. Bill Maher showed me my jugs covers again. It just felt like the right time to release the past and live in the now. I've worked tirelessly to share my experiences through my newly released book, Sex, Drugs, and Rock Rose. Now I'm an author. I would like to say that I've learned a lot of lessons over my years. My strongest comebacks come in forms of resurgencies and recovery. It was a part of my process to come back to who I really am, back to Jennifer. I healed myself from psoriasis, diabetes, hypertension, bad habits, and bad relationships by using my Wiccan tools and my meditation, prayer, and herbal remedies. I believe in self-love and the freedom of expression. You have the choice to rewrite the script of your life at any moment. My book has so many examples of comebacks, big and small. Being your true self and liking who I am is the biggest accomplishment of my life so far. And of course, my book, Sex, Drugs, and Rock Rose, explores this journey. Blessed be, I am me, stand tall, walk your path, love yourself. I don't really feel like this is a comeback. I feel like I've arrived.